Okay, gonna take a look at this picture first. We've got a couple things going on here. It's very blue. The picture's very blue. The sky you can see, which is nice, but it's also blue. So it just the whole picture has this blue cast. And when you take a picture, anything in the picture becomes a reflector. And so it's not just blue. It's probably got a little bit of green working with that blue because of all the green around it. And so you have to compensate for that and adjust the skin tones. If you look at her legs, this leg looks heavier than it should. And that's because she's got her weight on the front leg. When you're posing a client, always have them put the weight on their back leg and bend the front leg. It'll give you a much nicer S-curve, and it takes the weight off the front leg. It's always very slimming. And women, we always want her to be a little slimmer. So first thing, we'll balance this color a little bit. Maybe lighten it up a little bit in the center. I like just lightening the focal point. So I'm going to use curves. I'm going to increase the curves. But as well as doing it for the whole picture, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control-I to invert that and just put it where I want it. There we go. So you can kind of see before and after. Like that helps so much just doing that. I like to make sure my light's what I want it to be. I just compressed them, Shift Control-E to compress those. You don't have to do that. So color balance. There's several different ways we could do this. We could just warm it up. If you go to photo filters, you've got all these this is a warming filter. There's several different options even to choose from for warming filters. You can even pick exactly what color you want, or you could just look at some of these preloaded filters. They're all pretty nice, but so you can take that. The whole picture is just so much warmer. And again, just like we did with the curves, you can paint it on. Let's go ahead and not do that filter. Let's look at balancing the color instead. Color balance. We know it's got too much blue. So you can go a little bit more red and a little bit more yellow. And you can look at this. Just pulls that color back to what it should be. Now if you notice, look, we'll do it. Save of that. Go back. Here's the photo filter. I kind of liked this one better for this. And we'll save a snapshot of that. So this is color balancing, and this is just using a photo filter. Color balancing always works better because you can be as specific as you want with it. Now, again, I like compressing my layers as I go, especially when I know, okay, this is on point. This is what I want it to do. So let's zoom way in on her. This is what I mean by the weight is on this leg. So we've got a couple things. We've got something on her pants over here. You can just use the this patch selection tool and just get rid of that pretty quick and easy. Oh, it's right over here, by the way. I use quick keys as shortcuts, so I don't usually have to select tools. So let's clean that up. Her skin looks beautiful, like the skin of her shoulders looks beautiful. You can see she's got a little bit of acne, and it's not a super sharp focus, probably because it's so far away. I made a frequency separation action that I use on skin to clean it up, because it separates the texture from the color, from the tone. And so you go to the texture layer of this and use the clone stamp. You pick skin that is good, and you just clone over the top of the skin that's not, that could use a little help. And what I like about this is it doesn't mess with the color. So then you can go to even out the tone, use your brush tool, shrinking it down. There we go. And even it out this way. So it's darker right here. So we'll get a little bit of the right color. Lighten that up. And then this darkness under her eyes. Now you don't want to take that line out, that like under eyelid, if you will. It's what gives her eyes and her face the shape that it is. But you do want to even out some of this. And then I go back over here on the texture layer because I noticed some little things that could use a little more work. And her teeth have a little bit of a cast, so let's just desaturate those just a little bit. This is something that most people I don't think would even notice, especially because it's zoomed out so far. And desaturate and maybe lighten them just slightly. Don't ever go too crazy with the teeth lightening. It looks weird if you do. Now I want you to notice something else. Her shoulders are way, way lighter than her face. So first of all, let's look at the fixes we did to her face. Just cleaned that up, smoothed it out, made that prettier, right? Let's go ahead and compress that. And then let's lighten up her face. We'll use curves for that too. Curves is a very soft way to lighten things. I'm going to invert that. And just put it back on just her base. So it lightens up with her shoulders. See? We'll do the arms too. Compress that. Now let's look at some before and after real quick. Save a snapshot of this. This is where we're at so far. You'll pardon my child in the background. He's very loud. So this is the original image, and this is where we're at now, with just a few fixes. Now, other things that you can do that you certainly don't have to do, you can sharpen her face a little bit, because like I said, the focus is a little soft. Control J will give you a copy of that layer. Go to filter. This is one of my favorite ways to sharpen. Other, high pass. Now, this is way too strong. Let's bring it down where you just barely see the edges of her eyes and her lips and everything. Maybe a 1.1 on this one, right? And then make this layer, click overlay. And you can see the before and after, it's way sharper. See this? Now, I don't want my whole image sharpened, right? Just like the eyes, the mouth, maybe a little bit of the hair on the face. So, I'm going to add a mask to this and invert it. And then, again, just paint that back on. And I think I'm going to bring my flow up a little bit because I want to paint it on quicker. So now her eyes are sharper, her mouth is sharper. The edges of her hair. I don't do the whole hair because hair looks pretty soft. And then compress those layers. Now, save a snapshot of that. So that's snapshot 4. So here's the original image. Here's 4, right? The whole thing just pops now. You can crop into this. If you crop to like right there, give you a closer up picture of her. But I do like the composition of this. Let's see, there's 4. So one of the things that I like to do is use the liquify tool. Shift Control X, and I'm pretty sure you know how to use this. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that was talking about using it to do an eye fix. Anyway, women, some of the things we look for are thighs, our arms. So just slim it just a little. It will be the difference between whether or not she likes the image or not. Pull this in a little bit, just a little. Be subtle. We don't want to change your whole shape, and we definitely don't want it to look obvious, but pull this in a little bit. Me, I'm bottom heavy, so I notice things like this quickly, and I feel like anybody who's shaped kind of like me does too. So it's just like to me, just a huge difference. I know it's something I would notice on myself. So the difference between 4 and 5, it's subtle. The best thing to do is just make sure the weight's always on the back leg. Then you get the picture right out of the shot. On this one, since you do have some blue in the sky, I wouldn't worry about a sky replacement. It looks very pretty. You could do a sky replacement for just the top, kind of fade it in and add some clouds if you wanted to. But honestly, the picture, just like it is, I really think it works. One of the last things I like to do is check the levels and see how it's not toward the center. I like to go ahead and pull this way. This gives you just a little more contrast. It's a little sharper, makes it not look as hazy. Not that the picture looks hazy, but when you see the before and after, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you can just look at this. This is before, after. Just makes it pop. And then compress those. And then because when you shoot in RAW, it doesn't have that final sharpening that your camera will do if you're shooting in JPEG. I just made a large sharpening action. There are so many different ways to sharpen your pictures, obviously. You go to sharpen, and you can do sharpen more. Smart sharpen is a nice one. I like to do an overall high pass sharpen, which is just almost like what I did on the face, but even lighter. But you just want a little bit of a sharpen before you save it. So there we go. Now it's sharpened. And then you just save it as whatever you want to save it as. This one, image 1, edit. I'll send these to you shortly. There we go.